I am Jason Abraham, the Shadow Teacher 33, and on my other channel, my Uncensored channel, that being my BitChute channel, a lot of the work I do there is about exposing the systems of control, the systems of limitation, and going into detail on how those systems come about, some of the people involved in perpetrating those systems, and just the general themes of what they look like, what they've looked like throughout history, and what they look like now. But one of the great mechanisms of control of a human being being kept in a box and not quite able to see themselves in their full capacity, in their full potential, is this system of shame, a system of guilt. And it's a theme that is echoed in globalist narratives as well as an organized religion, corporate religion I call it. And with the globalist narratives, whatever the theme that is being perpetrated as the great crisis on the planet at the time, there's an underlying message that, this is just human nature that causes this, and that humanity needs someone else to save them, that being the elites. And again, this is a narrative of shame. It's like you should be ashamed about this part of your nature that is just innate in who you are, that causes destruction of the planet, that causes destruction of other cultures, that kills and rapes and pillages. This is part of who you are, and you need someone else to save you. And this is the same theme again in some of this institutionalized religion that claims to be opposed to the globalist forces. It's the same idea. You are a wretch. The song Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace, save a wretch like me. The lyrics there. It's a lyric of shame. And as I continue on my journey of consciousness, I find this to be a great lie. I find this to be a great lie, not that it's not based in some truth. Humanity absolutely has an undeniable dark side, an undeniable side that's capable of great destruction and great evil. But humanity also has this other side that's capable of great creation and beauty, great love, great connection. You have both the dark and the light in you. And instead of the narrative of I'm just some lowly wretch and I have to be redeemed by a global elite or some savior figure, I found instead the truth is that we are creatures of God. We're made in the image of God. And there is innate goodness within us when it's nourished from a standpoint of morality and truth, from a path of our highest potential. And when we nourish that character, when we choose that path, you could say that's the right-hand path, and consciously seek a relationship with God and see the divinity within us, and the divinity not just in us but in all of creation. These birds singing outside behind me, and even in people who haven't woken up to that potential, when you see that they are creatures of God, it shifts your consciousness. It shifts how you show up in the world. And it starts to free you from being controlled from that program of shame and guilt, of lowliness, of feeling that your life is simply suffering and that you are a mechanism of suffering and perpetrating suffering unless someone comes to save you. And ultimately, when we're looking at sovereignty, we're talking about accountability for the beauty we create, as well as the great harm and destruction that we sow as well. And as opposed to pushing that on someone else, we start to look at our part in it, the part we play in it, and we look to heal that, and we are able to see the part we play in our good. We can nourish that and do more of that. When we see the part we play in evil, we can say we're not going to do that anymore and choose a different path. But it's only when you have that light of revelation and seeing yourself as being capable of choosing and being capable of acting, being capable of creating, being capable of doing and participating, that you have any kind of power. Otherwise, you're just a pawn. You're a pawn in someone else's game, someone else's program. And many people go on living their lives as pawns, whether it's conscious. I don't think it's ever conscious. Most people consciously don't want to be pawns, but sometimes you have that rare case of the Faustian bargain, or even people who hyper believe these extreme corporate religious dogmas. They are willing pawns to something else. But for me, I've had enough of that. I say no more. It's not something I value. It's not something that I really want to be or live. And I believe there is a better way. And I've made videos before. There is value of shame. There's value of guilt when we are off our life path, when we have made the choice that we are going to live up to our highest potential. We're going to follow truth. We're going to follow a high morality, and we do something that violates that. We behave in a way that is in the opposite direction of that. And shame is a useful emotion there because it's saying we need to course correct. But that's different when we're looking at the behavior and the action we chose as shameful, as opposed to thinking we in ourselves, in our nature, deserve to live in shame. And it's only through redemption from something outside that we're worth anything. Highly disempowering narrative. Well, with that being said, I'm going to end this transmission, and I encourage you to explore your own worth and to connect with the Creator and get a feeling, an inner knowing that you are part of divine creation, and that's something to be grateful for, not something to be ashamed of. And when we live in gratitude and we live from this creative space, we can create beauty in the world and add life to life. And I feel that's the ultimate calling of humanity, if we can wake up to it.